This is J&B Talking Shop with Byron Williams and Jim Jeffcoat on Northeast Streaming Sports.
He was a Giant, and he was a Cowboy. Now these two former rivals have joined forces to bring you the most insightful, perceptive, and controversial sports talk podcast in America. Former Dallas Cowboys defensive end Jim Jeffcoat locks horns with former New York Giants wide receiver Byron Williams. And now, here's Byron Williams and Jim Jeffcoat.
And now, the hosts of J&B Talking Shop, Jim Jeffcoat and Byron Williams.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hey, it's great to be here. It's great to be with Byron. And hey, let's get this rolling, Byron.
Hey, let's get it popping. Yeah, I'm excited.
To go.
I can just smell football in the air. It's in the atmosphere.
Oh, yes. Yes, you can see it by NFL News, what's going on around the league. You can see various things that are happening. Obviously, we can talk about what's going on. But first, we got Darren Woodson here, and we need to talk to Darren a little bit. Woody, where you at? Woody, you there?
No, Woody's not here yet, but he's on his way, I think. So go ahead and give us the NFL news first.
All right. Hey, let's talk about some NFL news. First, you started off, Byron, Michael Strahan. And
yeah, man, we're excited about we getting ready to retire two great numbers of great football players to play for the New York Football Giants. Michael Strahan will be getting his jersey retired with the Giants, and man, we definitely excited about that. What an awesome defensive player that he was.
No question. And Eli Manning, we know his background and the things that he did in the NFL. You got two great players that deserve those honors. And you always look to get those as you get older. You appreciate people thinking of you in that nature.
Yeah, that's a life goal to achieve things like that. And you and your family can always cherish those times and those moments. And, those memories last forever.
No question, no question. Then you got some things going on. The New Orleans Saints are practicing in Texas. They're in Fort Worth at TCU, and they're preparing for their season against the Green Bay Packers, and they're going to play at Jacksonville Stadium, TIAA Kraft Stadium down in Jacksonville.
Yeah, I saw that. At first, they've been up here at AT&T Stadium practicing this early in the week, and then they getting ready to play their first game September 13th down in Jacksonville, and I know that they having a rough time with the weather, but at least their families are with them, and they've been on the news, and they just saying about how heartfelt it is to with the families having to remove out, and I know there's a lot of kids and people being transported out of New Orleans in that situation, so we got to keep the city in our prayers and things,
Yeah, you also think about it. Obviously, the things that are going on in New Orleans is how it's going to affect the players, because every game to this point, because Sean Payton has said they'll be away for a month, and every game's a road game, and that's difficult. You don't have home games So that's going to be
Yeah,
a little difficult for them.
Yeah, they're gonna miss their home fans. The whole month of September, they definitely gonna be in a situation away from New Orleans, and that's gonna be an awkward feeling. But if anybody can navigate through some tragedy and some situation, Sean can do it. He's an awesome coach, and he's always thinking, got the thinking cap on.
Yeah, and I had the opportunity to coach with Sean, and he is an awesome coach. And I tell my friends that he's a quarterback whisperer. I mean, that's the kind of guy he is. He obviously what he's done with Jameson is pretty impressive, and he does that with quarterbacks. And Drew Brees was a special quarterback, we all know, but Jameson's going to play better under him because he understands how to develop quarterbacks.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they are saying. Drew Brees was great and awesome. But with the chemistry and what he the strength of that offense, with Tyson and coming in and still being that dynamic quarterback as well, so they still gonna have a lot of options on the offensive side of the ball.
Mm-hmm. And do you think Bill Parcells used those tactics with quarterbacks? Because I coached for him.
When I first got to the Giants, Phil Simms had broken his thumb. And so we had to use a couple of backup quarterback, Jeff Rutledge, and then Hostetler came in, and we was able to utilize the talent that these guys brought. Jeff Rutledge was an Alabama quarterback, and so he definitely used the same tactic, I think, with the backup quarterbacks.
Yeah. The question I got to ask you is this situation that happened last week with the Baltimore Ravens. Their starting running back, J.K. Dobbins, was injured in the game. There's two schools of thought on that. Some people say you got to prepare yourself for the season. We had it happen actually with us, with Mark Stepnowski. He got injured. And then some people said, no, they get paid to play the season. Why risk them in preseason games? What is your feeling on that?
I still think you still have to get the players in, get some reps, get them back into the feel of the game. It's a fast-paced game, and you want to get the timing down. So, unfortunately, that do happen, man. And I just hate it for him and what happened. But they, had some exciting offense explosion with him in their offense. But man, I just part of the game. But you got to get those players in and get the timing down. So especially on offense, defense, it's a little different. But offense is so much dynamic that goes into the game plan.
And I agree with you because especially running backs are a little different because they take so much physical punishment. But I always felt that I needed the timing, like you said, and the speed of the game. And I had to get hit to get acclimated to getting hit every play. And the same thing, a lot of times running backs take a lot of punishment. We didn't play guys like Tony Dorsett and Emmitt Smith a lot in the preseason, but they did play. And I think you have to get these things down to make yourself effective. And it is unfortunate that he got injured, but it's just the reality of the game. It's the part of the game.
Yeah. And, and I'm trying to think also the tight end for the Vikings, he's going to be out for the whole season.
Yes, Irv Smith.
Irv Smith. Yeah, he's going to be out for the whole season. So, man, it's just those injuries just a part of the game. And the timing of it sometimes you can't control. But you definitely got to get your players back into the the game plans and the timing of it and the chemistry of it, and make sure that that you're right on point in 2 weeks and in 10 days next Sunday. And you have to have that timing, and you got to know the strength of your offense and what you can do down the distance, inside the the red zone and all that type of stuff. So I can see the sweeps outside. Unfortunately, the guy went down low, and knee got caught up in everything.
Here's the thing: do the best coaches have a backup plan? And you were talking about Parcells using Jeff and that. Do the best coaches? I know that Jimmy Johnson would utilize players in that position, in the quarterback position, and make sure that they had somebody. He used Bernie Kosar, he used Jason Garrett, he used Randall Cunningham at one time at the end of his career, and that's what he did. What do you think about that?
Yeah, no doubt. I think the best coaches definitely have at least 40 players that they know for sure that they can depend on. They build their game plan on. And a lot of people don't know this. Even when you run your game plan in practice, the backup get in there and they run some of the reps. And you know this as well as I do. So it's all about making sure that everybody's on the same page. And one of the things about football, we are, as players, we as good as our last play. And so the next guy got to step up, and the one thing being a receiver back in the 80s for the Giants, and when we started changing from a losing to a winning mentality on that team, we had 5-6 receivers that constantly played all kind of roles. We didn't have an all Pro Bowl receiver. And some of these teams, even though now it's different, but still you got to have at least everybody on the same page.
Yeah, you do have to have role players that can play specific roles on the team. But we were fortunate enough when I first came in, they had Drew Pearson and Tony Hill and Butch Johnson. And then later on, obviously, there was Michael Irvin, Alvin Harper, Kevin Williams, guys of that nature. So we did have those big-time receivers, and they produced when the games were on the line. They made plays, and that's the thing. But there were all other players that played roles that helped the team win. They weren't the superstars, the Doug Donnellys and guys of that nature. You didn't hear a lot about them, but they did help our team win. And their roles, they knew their roles, and they knew that they had to perform those roles at a high level to be effective and help the team. Now, the next question, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying, I remember I had to go down as a gunner on the punt team and on the kickoff team, and every now and then I get on the kickoff team and be that safety guy in case somebody break that kickoff coverage, So you have to have guys instantly being able to, to fill gaps and making sure that, we don't miss a beat, because a lot of people forget special team is just as important as offense and defense.
Yeah, it is. No question. My next question to you is, and I'm thinking about this, we got these young quarterbacks that are coming in the league, and they're pushed into roles. So, for example, what happened with San Francisco 49ers last week against the Raiders, they played both of those guys. Trey Lance hurts his finger. We were talking about injuries. He hurts his finger. They said he's on the good side of the injury. And then you have the issue with Andy Dalton starting in Chicago, and Justin Fields is the backup, but people are booing Andy Dalton already in his preseason. I don't agree with that. And I think Trey Lance, he's going to be a good quarterback, no question, but he gives you a different dimension for that team if you play both of them, Jimmy G and him. They give you a different dimension because now you got to prepare for two types of quarterback. But in the Chicago situation, I think they got to look at Andy Dalton with his experience, and if he fails, then you go back to Justin Fields and give him the opportunity. And I'm sure early in the season, he's going to get some opportunities to play, and we'll see how he performs.
Yeah, no doubt. I just think, I thought Justin Fields was the best quarterback in the draft. I really love Justin Fields. I just think what he did at Ohio State was awesome. And I just think he still got, still needs some more time to develop and get comfortable with the offense. What I like about Andy, he's a proven veteran. He have came in last year and did some outstanding performance here in Dallas. So
yes,
I just think too that the fans got to be patient. They got to let the coaches coach, and they don't see some of the practice. They don't see some of the mistakes on the game film, and so those things is part of the game that these coaches have to make decisions on. So I just think, just give it a little time. And what I did see was Justin Fields do some things and bring a whole new dynamic for us, running the ball, keeping the defense, all twisted upside down. So he's definitely going to be exciting, but I think the fans right now want to see him right away. And I can understand that too.
Now, here's the thing. There's situations, and obviously when you're talking about Chicago, and there is a situation where they got to win this year or they're going to make changes. We know that. And they're probably going to do it with the coach and the GM. I think they're in a situation where they're in a must-win situation, and that could be the reason they're starting Dalton. Fields might be more talented, but they got to win now, and they're going to go with the veteran, and hopefully that he can perform at a level to help them win. Their defense is pretty good. I mean, they're one of the top defenses in the NFL, and if they don't turn the ball over and if they can run the ball, that gives them an opportunity and keep Dalton from getting hit too much. And if they can do these things, they got a chance. But the pressure is on the quarterback, not the quarterback, but the head coach and the GM at this point. What do you think?
Yeah, no doubt. But the one thing that I love about Andy Dalton is that he don't make mistakes. He ain't gonna throw a lot of interceptions. He gonna keep it consistent, and he take charge on the field. That's what I like about him. When he came in last year and did some things here in Dallas after Dak got hurt, that's what you're gonna get with him. So I just think, you got to let the coaches coach, and you got to let everything fall in its place. It'll take its course, but 17 game season is a long season as well. So you're gonna have injuries. That's a part of the game. But you also, you have to have strength and momentum, and you continue to build that team around that defense. Like you said, that defense is what's gonna really make things happen. And so I just think Chicago is in the division up north that they'll be able to make the playoff again, probably.
Yeah. That I agree with you. They have the opportunity. It's in there. It's going to be
because they only have Green Bay to kind of worry about right now. The Vikings and the Vikings might do something. I don't know, but Detroit still still got some ways to go.
Yeah. Now I think we have Darren Woodson coming on, so we're waiting for him and to make sure. But as we wait, there he has nice cables we see at his house and everything, and those things. But
yes, Jim. Right now, Jim, we're just waiting for Darren to hook up the cam so we can get him in. He's backstage right now. So Darren, if you can hear me, go ahead and pop onto your camera to bring you in, and we'll get you up and ready to rock. Any questions, just email me. All right, you guys got it.
All right. Hey, quick question while we wait for Darren is Cam Newton getting cut. Were you surprised about that?
I was kind of surprised. I thought Belichick was going to try to keep both of them and work it out, and I was kind of shocked to see it. But I guess they made a decision that based off of what they see in practice and what they saw in the preseason games, they went on and made their decision.
Yeah, and also we had Deshaun Watson. He's going to be inactive every game, and now he's going to get paid $10.4 million to just carry a helmet or listen to what's going on.
Yeah, that's an interesting story right there, and they saying that people are still trying to wait to see how everything going pan out with this situation, this case situation down in Houston. But man, he's such a great talent, man. It's just sad that that Houston and that team in the middle of just having some issues. That's not football. That everybody want to see that team and see everything, the fans back in the stands and getting this season kicked off. But man, this is still that hanging over their head, and I just hate it for the Texans,
No question. I agree with you. It's really sad for the Houston fans and being a Texan, and it's sad for Deshaun to let himself get in this situation, and that's the tough thing. And it's a difficult situation because regardless of which way you feel, if he was doing things that weren't right or he wasn't, you let yourself, and as a pro athlete, you always got to be aware of what's going on because you're a target. Let's be honest. You're a target as a pro athlete, and there's always that opportunity for somebody to take advantage of you. But if you're doing things and understand that, then you don't let them take advantage of you.
Yeah, and that's kind of why you might sometimes need somebody to kind of hold you accountable, and you hold them accountable, and that way, you can kind of, stay on course, stay on pace. And right now, you're only 22, 24, 25 once in your life, and sometimes if you make one bad choice and one bad mistake, it can haunt you, and that's sad, but that's part of the game, and football players got to really realize that it's a target on your back, and you got to be real careful because a lot of people out here are trying to, take advantage.
Especially in the Facebook, the TikTok, the Instagram, the Twitter age. I mean, we're in that age where you can't even walk out of the house and people are going to say, well, he was doing this, he's doing that. Like I said, you can't judge him, but you got to understand that you are in that situation. You are
Absolutely.
in that situation. So you got to be prepared for that. There's no question about it. There's a lot of things going on right now in the NFL. And just like what's happening with Urban Meyers down in Jacksonville, and he was saying basically that he was looking toward players that are more vaccinated as opposed to being unvaccinated. And he got in trouble with the NFL Players Association. And then the legal people for Jacksonville tried to clean it up. But some things have been said, and you got to understand there's some things that are better not said in the NFL, and Urban's going to figure that out.
Absolutely. And I'm a big part of the NFL Players Association for the retired player side. And we have to walk a fine line. We get a lot of conversation about this, that, and the other, some of the rule changes and things like that. So some things you can't just say in public, let the media get a hold of it. And next thing you know, you might find yourself in a bad situation.
Yeah, and what do you think about they're going to increase testing, which I agree with, because that's the thing. I don't know if you watched the CFL. Edmonton had to cancel a game because they had an outbreak. 12 people had it. Then you saw it in the NFL. Tennessee had an outbreak, even with the head coach. And then they went to Tampa, and that happened with Tampa with a couple of players, the kicker from Tampa, going out with players from Tennessee. And these little things, we're in a different era, and we're in a different way. So we got to be prepared for these things.
Absolutely. And, the one team that's 100%, all 100% of the players are vaccinated is Atlanta Falcons. And so you got to have some situations, some models, or some examples out here of what things you got to do. The one thing that the NFL did last year with the NFLPA was they tested guys so much throughout the day, throughout the week, and they also just made sure that them and their family were safe. And that's why they were able to play the season last year. So those are some of the things they got to still think about,
No question, no question. I think we might have Darren on, but he's awful quiet, and I've never known Woody to be quiet, so we do not have him yet.
We're waiting on you, Woody.
Woody.
The number 28.
I'm going to talk bad about you. But while we're waiting for the situation with Darren, there's a lot. Like I said, there's things going on. You got young quarterbacks that are going to start, obviously, at the Jets, and obviously still with Philly and Miami. They got young quarterbacks. I know they're second-year players in Tua and Hurts, but they're still young quarterbacks. You got Mac Jones, obviously, in New England, who's going to start as a true rookie.
Cincinnati got,
Cincinnati with Joe Burrow.
Yeah. So, I mean,
what do you feel about, do you think there's a learning curve that the only quarterback that I can remember that was really outstanding as a rookie was Dan Marino, and I'm sure there has been more, but Dan was unique.
This is when we came out the class of '83. You had Johnny Elway, Dan Marino, Todd Blackledge. We had 5 great quarterbacks that came in. So this year kind of reminded me of the class of '83 with Marino, Elway, Todd Blackledge, and Kenny O'Brien for the Jets. All these guys came out, and so and I was at the combine catching all them balls, but let me tell you something. It kind of reminded me of the same group of guys. They seemed like they were ready to come in and make an impact in the NFL, and that's unusual. And they had I see the same situation this year with the class coming out of college, and these guys are making an impact already. All these quarterbacks are.
Yeah, they are. And there's not a learning curve for say, because now these guys have got to play so early. It's a little bit difficult for them, but they're going to get thrown to the wolves quick these times, because you see how these young quarterbacks, Patrick Mahomes was thrown in early. So you see that. Yeah. And he became successful. I think it's when you have a young quarterback, obviously coaching is essential, and having the right people around that quarterback. And I've talked about this before. The quarterbacks I've seen that have been successful are quarterbacks that the coach understands what they do well and emphasizes that and give them confidence and make them a better player.
Yeah, that's what they were saying about Mac Jones. You know, he came from Nick Saban, and he definitely mentally prepared. He didn't make any mistakes. You know, he know how to keep the ball and how to throw the ball. And even some of the receivers, once they catch the ball, they was able to not get the big hit on them. So his ball placement was really accurate. And so some of the things that I saw Belichick and them talking about is that he passed every test, not only in the game but in practice. And wow. So that was an indication too that a lot of people. I still say this: what you do in practice sometimes is, you know, they keep track of everything that's going on.
Yeah, and that's probably what happened to Cam. Is a little bit is just like you said. They take now everything is analytics, and everything is analyzed. How many passes you threw, what passes you threw, where you threw them from, where were your completions at, all these analytics. And it's a little different now in this day and age in playing and coaching, because you got to depend on it. They know all your little tendencies, so you always have to change.
Exactly. You know, pocket presence. How long you hold that ball? You know, how did you throw this receiver out of bounds? Well, you know, things like that. It's very, very, you know, they keeping up with everything now. You know, if you watch the training camp, they standing behind the quarterback every play with a camera, and they watching everything from field position to high up. They seeing every angle that they can see. So you'd be surprised the things that they get out of analyzing and critiquing these players now. It's a whole different game, a whole different perspective.
No question. And now, when you're playing on the defensive side, they look at that same thing. But now I have another question for you, is that I looked at the NFL's top 100, and the number one player was Aaron Donald. I don't know if you see that very often. You know, you had the Reggie Whites, the Bruce Smiths, but Aaron Donald is the number one player in the NFL. Do you agree or disagree with that?
I thought Patrick Mahomes was the number one player. Aaron Donald was number two.
No, Aaron Donald's number one in my book.
Well, I'm just telling you, Aaron Donald was number two, and Patrick Mahomes was number one this year. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no doubt, Aaron Donald is, man, he's a beast.
Yeah, I mean, and Mahomes is very talented too.
But you know, those top 10, you know, you can't go wrong with the top 20. Really, I love watching it. I love watching it, and they are picked by the players. So your peers are picking you, and so you're being thought about, you know, based off of the competition you play and then your teammates. So that's a good thing. I'm glad they got that.
Yeah, and I was thinking about that too, is that when I thought about that, but in Mahomes, I think he's really, really good. And the people, and I think Andy Reid did a really good job with him. And I think Aaron Donald, but then, you know, I had the opportunity to watch the Lawrence Taylors, who was really just the outside linebacker, defensive end, the Reggie Whites, you know, the Bruce Smiths, and things of that nature. So, those things. Oh my goodness! Look who we have here. Oh my goodness! This is Darren Woodson, five-time Pro Bowl. What else can I talk about? 3-time Super Bowl champion, these things. And now we got Phil McConkey.
Phil McConkey,
We having a
man.
party
Hello.
now. All we need is some
Fellas.
music.
I can't hear you.
What's up, Woody?
He said he
You
can't
can't
hear
hear me? Oh.
Can you hear Phil?
I hear you.
I
Can you hear me?
know.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Phil, you hear? Them Darren Cowboys. They don't have any kind of technology. They don't understand technology. They just
No technology skills.
We're still trying to get
We'll
somebody.
hopefully get them. Yep. Go ahead. You got some questions for Phil? Phil, we played against each other,
Hey,
and
Phil.
I enjoyed watching you. I enjoyed your career and everything, and it was fun. It was fun.
Yeah, guys, thank you so much, for having us on, and it's great to see my old teammate Byron. Man, it's been a while. Sometimes it's, you look back and it's like yesterday, as you guys know, right? It's been many years, but great to see you and Jim. A lot of battles, and I always respected you, but you're a Jersey guy, so I know you're Texas through, but you're a Jersey guy.
We can hear you now. So.
Yes, New Jersey. I'm from Cliffwood, but I went to Mallow High School. I was born and raised there and everything. So that's that's home. My parents still live there. They still live on the Jersey Shore. So that's where I come from. You're right.
That's right. And then finishing up, I Giants obviously, but I grew up in Buffalo, and the first love of my life were the Buffalo Bills. And the first love of your life never goes away. So I'm rooting for you back then. I wasn't rooting for you when you had that star on your helmet and I was playing against you, but when you had that charging buffalo on your helmet, I was really rooting for you.
Well, Phil, this is funny because I grew up in New Jersey and Byron grew up in Texas. And that's the funny thing. He plays for the Giants. I played for the Cowboys. So, yeah.
We'll get it right.
You got somebody trying. You always have those streakers. Woody's a streaker today. He streaks in and streaks out.
Yeah. But I remember Byron, man. What a great physical receiver. And I just remember.
I can hear you now. We can hear you.
We hear you.
We hear you.
Yeah, he's having trouble. But Byron, boy, I remember wishing I could do some of the things that Byron could do, abusing defensive backs. I mean, he was just so physical and took such incredible pride. I just remember him coming back and film, and I messed that guy up. Boy, I got him. And just things that I wish I could have done. But, at 158 pounds, man, I tried hard, but I wasn't delivering the punch that Byron was.
Well, Phil, I was trying to tell Jeff that we had all special assignments, and I was one of the blocking receivers, and I could crack back on those guys and do some things like that, man. And we had fun with it. We all did something special, which made us a great unit.
But remember those days. But remember those days in the 80s. You're running the ball, and receivers had a block. And these kids today, they're just running all the fancy routes out there. And we had a block.
Yeah, we blocked.
That is true. Yeah.
Run game.
I remember a receiver from Philly that would come back and crack back block on me, and I chased him every game, and I never caught him, but.
Was that Harold Carmichael, all 6'10" of Harold Carmichael coming down on you?
No, it wasn't Harold. Harold wasn't a blocker. So he was. That was it. I like Harold.
I had a crack block on Richard Dent in the playoff game, and man, he messed me up. it was that cold game, Phil, and man, I said I can't block this dude.
I got kicked out of that game at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Jeff, we're playing the Bears in the playoff that year, that 85, they won the Super Bowl. Now, you heard I'm from Buffalo, so I know cold weather, right? Yeah. This January day in Chicago was the coldest day of my life. Byron, I don't know, a kid from Texas, I don't know how you handled it. The winds were like 40 miles an hour. It was absolutely brutal that day. And
it was 40 below. It was something like 40 below.
40 below zero.
You used to get that lake effect. Oh, that lake effect snow and The win.
So this is at the end of the game. We're losing. It was 21-0. And it's like not even like 30, 40 seconds left in the game. There's a timeout. We're backed up on like our 1 yard line. And there's a TV timeout. And the crowd's, barking behind us and just aggravated. And they think we're going to throw the ball. And we're just going to run it because it's futile at that time to do anything else. So I go cut a guy, right? I can't remember one of their DBs. And he got up and he starts hitting me, and we went at it, and I got thrown out of the game. So it was. Oh, this was almost better. There was another time I got into scuffle at Texas Stadium. You'll love this one. It was one of those years in the 80s, and I'm on the kickoff team. I'm R5 on the far right side. We kick off. The ball's going out of bounds. So I got this offensive lineman coming to take me on, and I'm running full speed, and I see the ball going out of bounds. I don't want to take on this offensive lineman, so I veer off to the thick white there, and there's a ball boy standing there with another chain marker. They're facing away from me. I try to split them because I'm still running, and I knock the ball boy down. He comes onto the field. He throws one of the balls at me, and he comes at me, like a bull, and I just took him and spun him around and threw him. Anyway, after the game, and John Madden's diagramming it, and McConkey took the ball boy out. After the game, in the post-game press conference, they asked Parcells, because it came out later that this guy was notorious for standing in front of coordinators, trying to get into play, and he's always been a nuisance. So they asked Parcells, did you send McConkey down to take that guy out because he's a troublemaker, and trying to work for the Cowboys? Parcells looks at him and he says, if I was to send anyone to take anybody out, McConkey would be the last guy I would send.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one right there.
That is funny.
That's the old school NFL right there. Those things, you'd be fined and suspended for 6 games now. For that.
Oh, the hits, Byron, remember some of the shots coming across the middle? I mean,
oh, man.
Yeah, they throw guys out today. It's totally different. NBA's the same way, right? I mean, you go watch the 80s games. Go watch Bird and Matt. Those guys go at it, and then you look at today. I mean, I don't take anything away. These are amazing, incredible athletes, but the toughness of the 80s is not apparent today.
It was. It's obvious. It's obvious. And the rules have changed, and we understand why they changed. But we also it's football. It's a physically demanding sport. And it's just the nature of football. And sometimes I think we as fans forget that. That's just the nature of it. And there's going to be some physical plays. There's going to be some violent hits. And same thing on offense or defense.
Yeah, absolutely. But you know what? I would have let Byron, you know this, and it was a little easier for you at your size and strength. But, the hardest part about playing wide receiver back then was just getting off the line of scrimmage, right?
Yeah.
And every time you had off coverage, man, you're like, this is easy. And today, they can't touch you anymore. They would maul us at the line of scrimmage. They would ride us down the field. And, that was tough. And today, you can't lay a hand on a receiver.
Right.
That is true.
It's a whole different game, that's for sure. And if we played this game this day and time, we would both have field days. It's really wide open,
Yeah, coming out of the slot where I played, I would have loved to play in today's game, man.
Oh, yeah.
And we talked about that, obviously, with Smith being a slider receiver at Philadelphia, is Devontae, is that he plays in the slot, and they'll move him a lot, just what you said, not to get beat up off the line of scrimmage, because you still have a 5-yard rule, and after that 5 yards, and with his athleticism, that's how they're going to use him. He'll be more in the slot than out on the edges.
Yeah, it's a fun, listen, they're not stupid. They know, what makes money and what's entertaining, and, offense and points. Yeah, that's what people want. They want to see. They want to see that aerial circus. I'm watching I watched the Bills the other day in preseason. They threw 26 straight passes.
Yeah, I saw that.
Preseason game. Yeah. I think one of the questions that popped up Go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask you, who you think was one of the toughest DBs that you faced back, when we was playing? Who you think?
My gosh, you could just name them all. There was, Ronnie Lott and Kenny Easley and guys like that.
Right.
I loved Everson, was a great competitor. Darryl Green, my goodness. Darryl Green he was as fierce a competitor and as talented as anyone, obviously a Hall of Fame guy, but he disarmed you because of how pleasant he was when the play was over. You want to hate the other guy, right? You want him to be mean and nasty, which 99.9% of the guys were, but Darryl would pick you up after the play was over. He competed as hard as anybody ever, and he'd pick you up and he'd smile and pat you on the back, and it was like so disarming, man. I wanted to hate the guy, but I couldn't.
Then he tried to rip your head off.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We had some good battles with Darryl Green.
The Giants.
What's that, Jim?
I said there were great matchups between Watson and the Giants at that time.
Yeah, we had some pretty knockdown, drag-out fights with them. But the whole division was tough back then. Yeah. And, you guys and Redskins, the Eagles even had their time also.
Yeah, they did. They really did. Go ahead, Byron. You got a question?
No, I was just going to ask him. You and Phil Sims had that book that came out. My name was mentioned in that book a couple of times. Y'all did remember me a couple of times, so I appreciate that, Phil.
Well, we never forget you.
But talk a little bit about you and Phil.
Yeah, so they talk about that book. It's pretty funny. We had the same agent, so they were going to do something on me and they were going to do something on him. So they said, why don't we do it together? And the author was Dick Schaap, the legendary sports guy. I mean, just an incredible guy. So the best part of that whole book was getting to be a friend, my friendship with Dick. But it was so funny. Parcells heard about the name of the book, and it was called Sims to McConkey, Blood, Sweat, and Gatorade. Parcells, of course, he's going to put us down. He said, hey, McConkey, Sims, I heard you guys are putting out a book. It's called Sims to McConkey, Incomplete Pass, 4th Down, Punt. But it was a lot of fun, and it was on the heels. It was actually leading up to the Super Bowl. So that was a lot of fun for us. Phil, what an incredible competitor. I mean, tough guy, throwback. He played quarterback with a linebacker mentality. That's the kind of
he
guy.
was a tough player. I like Phil.
Yeah.
A couple years ago, until COVID, I was doing a football. Really was an all-star football game that was in his name, and I had fun talking to Phil and the opportunity. I think he's a little nervous that I might hit him again, but
Yeah.
I'm telling
You did pretty good. You took one, I forget what year, 85 maybe? You took one back the other way on us.
Twice I did against him.
Twice, yeah.
67 and 120.
That's all he's been talking about. Talking about a 67 yarder.
Yeah.
Yeah. Byron was talking about my stride and how I look good and my motion and everything. And, I was up nice. It looked like I was a world-class sprinter.
Yeah. That's awesome. Hey, let me ask you a question. So obviously I'm partial to Buffalo. What was it like for you, on the heels of all those years with the Cowboys going to Buffalo?
Well, that's interesting because, to be honest with you, Phil, is I'm from the East Coast, and I know that obviously Buffalo being in Western New York is more Midwest than East Coast.
Right.
But my parents, that's what I enjoyed about it. My parents, it was only a 45-minute flight from Newark to get to Buffalo, and I loved the people. The people.
Great people, right? Yeah.
I mean, the one thing I'll always remember about it, because they're avid, as you were, avid fans of it. And the one thing I remember is going in that stadium. It was one way in, one way out. And
one way out.
Open hours. You remember that?
Yeah. That's right.
Is that Darren Woodson?
Yes. It took me 5 hours to figure this out.
I told him that you could hit people. I mean, you're the all-time leading Cowboy tackler. You've been to 5 Pro Bowls, 3-time Super Bowl champion, Ring of Honor, and you can't figure out technology.
That is so
That's
bad,
Darren.
D. That is bad. And all I see
man,
here in Dallas,
you're going to have to pay me not to tell
all
people
day
about
long.
this. You are on ESPN.
All day long over here in Dallas.
Hey, Byron, don't jump on that thing, man. Byron, leave that alone, man. Let him just go on about his business. Do not jump in on this. All right? That's all
Me
me.
and Darren know each other. People don't know this about Darren. We both went to Arizona State. We're both on the Ring of Honor and in the Hall of Fame there. But Darren was a weak side linebacker at Arizona State. And then dude to make the transition to safety in the NFL and to play like he did. And I'll never forget this. Jimmy Johnson said, they asked him what was the mistake he made. He said, we should have started Darren Woodson earlier. And you can see the physical talent to be 6'1.5", 219, and do the things that he did on the field was pretty impressive.
Jimmy was about Jeff. Jimmy was about 9 months late on that, right? So he always said that. I was like, I wouldn't believe you because the whole entire season I was begging to get on the field as a starter. He wouldn't let it happen. So
you had to, you had to wait in line at that time.
I had to wait in line, man. I didn't like the wait. I didn't like the wait. Now, I don't think anybody would have liked that wait. Like, you want to play. That's the reason why we get on that stage. We want to play.
That is true. I don't know if you know this, Phil. Darren Woodson and Felipe Sparks went to the same high school. And
oh wow!
Yeah, they went.
Yeah, Maryville High.
Oh, that's awesome. So I think you were a freshman at Arizona State when I was with the Cardinals. I think the second year in Phoenix, and I lived at a hotel on campus. I think there was a Sheraton Hotel right on the campus there at Arizona State. Yeah,
right by the stadium.
Yep. So I was there for second half of the '89 season. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's a good time, man.
It was
a good time.
So, Woody, tell us a little bit about your experience. Obviously, getting the honor to be in the Ring of Honor. How did that affect you? Being in the Ring of Honor for the Cowboys.
Well, look, man. When I first got to Dallas as a young rookie in 1992, Jimmy Johnson took all the rookies to Texas Stadium, and it was. I'd seen Texas Stadium on TV, watching you play. And in all the years of watching, some of the Cowboy greats and watching those games. And I wasn't a Cowboys fan. I put it out there. I hated the Cowboys. I wanted whoever the Cowboys were playing, I wanted them to win. And it was simply because I lived in Phoenix. My family, led by my sister, who was 7 years older than me, used to beat me up, was a Steelers fan. So I didn't know a lot about the history of the Cowboys. Well, I knew a lot about the history of the Cowboys. I just wasn't a fan of that history. So it was the first time that I actually been behind the Devil's Lair in Texas Stadium. And I was in the stadium. We were walking into the stadium. And I remember Jimmy had all the rookies on the star, standing on the star in the middle of the field. And I remember looking up and seeing the names. The Randy Whites and the Staubachs and all the players from back when that were in the Ring of Honor. And I just thought, man, this is special. This is really special. And we all know it's like the Steelers and the Cowboys were the teams of legends. I mean, everyone talked about those two teams. So I sat there and looked up and I was like, man, that'd be nice to have my name up there one of these days.
Wow.
Really awesome. Would be. And then, you fast forward, 19 years later, 18 years later, and there it is, man. So it's a great feeling. It really was a great feeling.
It is. That's it. You deserved it. I mean, the things that you did in your career. And that leads to a thing is that I looked at the stats and nothing against her. They were tremendous players. Palomalo, who went in this year, and then John Lynch. You're right there with them as far as your statistics, and you're way ahead of them on tackles. But everything else, the interceptions, the sacks, the forced fumbles, you're right there.
Yeah, well, but I can't. I'm sorry.
I said you'll get your opportunity.
Yeah,
make that speech.
Yeah, that's something I can't control, man. So I'll put that. and I'll leave it at that. I can't control that, man. I do respect all those guys and all the Hall of Famers. Absolutely. I feel like I should be in at some point.
Yes.
Woody, who was the toughest wide receiver you faced back during your career?
Well, the obvious was Jerry Rice. That was the obvious. And we had some big games. And back in those days, the early to mid '90s, the two teams that were the best two teams in the league were the Cowboys and the Niners. So it was a pretty even matchup. And we had to see him during some big time occasions. So he would motion down into the slot or line up in the slot, and I was like, "Oh my God, like, this is gonna be." Because I wasn't a guy that just played safety on. When they brought three wide receivers in, I had to cover the slot receiver, and that was always a tough matchup. I know another guy like Steve Smith was a guy that when he was at Carolina, he came in the league and he was playing that slot position. Man, he was a monster. Just a freak of nature. And then the other guy I would say was Randy Moss. Randy Moss changed the game.
Yes, he did.
He flat out changed the way you covered guys because you could cover. Look, half the time you couldn't cover Jerry Rice one-on-one. It was hard to cover him, regardless. But if you had him covered, Steve Young, Joe Montana, they're not throwing the ball. If you just have him covered, if you double him, he's not the option anymore. They're going somewhere else, right?
Right.
But Randy Moss, you could have him covered, you could have him doubled, and they're going to throw the ball at him to him anyway. He's going to out jump you and go get it. I'd never seen anything like it. I just thought, this guy's covered. They're not going to look his way. No, ball's in the air. As a matter of fact, he's going to out jump you. He's going to moss you and get the ball, man. That was discouraging. And then it changed, from Randy Moss and went to Calvin Johnson and, a lot of other big receivers, tall, long, big receivers that can go up and get the ball. And I think that's where the game is today.
Let me ask you a quick question about that because we were talking about, in the early 80s when they were allowed to really jam guys at the line of scrimmage. And sometimes the bigger guys had trouble getting off the jam. 5'10", 195 strong, quick corner gets up in their face, and they had trouble with that. And it seems like, the further the DBs got away from in your face, the bigger the receivers got.
Yeah. I would say that. And also, this is what I would say about that, though. There was a time where you felt that way. Like, I can get up and press a big receiver. He can't get off the line of scrimmage, right? Because he just athletically – with all the body length and all that, it was hard for them to work off the line of scrimmage. That wasn't the case with Randy, or Calvin Johnson. Big receivers that can work you off the ball, and it doesn't matter if you press them. If you press them and miss, goodbye. See you later. He's gone. And it was usually the small guys that got off the line of scrimmage really easy. Could get off, work you on the press. But as the time went on, you started to see the athleticism change outside. And it was a taller, bigger receiver that moved like a Julio Jones. And Julio Jones could run a route like he's 5'7", 5'8". He gets out of his breaks. That's the way the game started to change in that 2006, 2007 era. Man, the receivers were a different breed. They were different monsters.
Wow.
Yeah. Hey, quick question for you guys. Both of you, Phil and Darren, what did it mean to you to win a Super Bowl?
Go ahead, Phil.
Well, as a kid growing up in Buffalo, you dreamt about it, and it was kind of a surreal experience. Almost out of body. During the game, I can still, recount. I can't remember. My wife will yell at me because I can't remember to take out the garbage in the morning today, but I can vividly go through almost every play and the way the wind was blowing and the grass was laying that day at the Rose Bowl, because it's just something that, you dreamt about as a little kid growing up in Buffalo, watching the Bills, in an AFL championship with Jack Kemp and Albert Dubinion and Cookie Gilchrist. Man, I can still remember those names. I was 6, 7 years old and I was obsessed. with it. And then losing to the Kansas City Chiefs to go the right to go to the very first Super Bowl. I cried for weeks after that. And to get there, especially the route I took coming out of the Navy. I mean, I was a 27-year-old, 158-pound rookie that hadn't played football in 5 years. I was a Navy pilot, and I had no chance when I got to the Giants. I mean, none at all. I mean, there were 4 wide receivers. They're going to keep 4 or 5, and man, I had everything against me, but fought and scratched and clawed, and to end up in a game like of that magnitude and to contribute, was a surreal experience that you can take with you the rest of your life.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, same. I felt the exact same. I just felt like, it was something that I've always wanted to do. I always wanted to play in the Super Bowl. Even as a kid, I used to always dream that we were playing in the Super Bowl. And when I was outside, I wanted to be a certain player, or Lynn Swan or whatnot, playing in that moment. And to finally get there, it was surreal. It was like, I'm looking around and I'm looking at Jim and, Tony Tolbert and Ken Norton and all these guys that I've always looked up to. And now here I am, man. I'm playing in this game, and it means a lot. Like this is the game. This is the game where it's all on the line. There is no tomorrow. This is it.
Yeah.
And everyone's watching. I didn't want to be the guy. I'll tell you this: the first time we walked out I was in Rose Bowl Stadium. It was my first Super Bowl in Pasadena, and I remember walking down that tunnel, and I was like, man, I better not be the guy that gets beat for a touchdown today. I'm not going to be that dude, right? I'm just not.
Yeah.
You're going to get the best 28 today that's ever been out there. So, it was emotional walking out the tunnel. But when the game got started, man, my nerves were shot early on. And then it felt like after that second quarter, the light switch just came on, man. It just became football for me.
Was that game, that one you played in Pasadena, what made it even more surreal, it was the only game in my life that started in bright sunshine and ended in total darkness.
Yeah.
The game started at 3:30 Pacific time, and at that time of year, it gets dark early. And so that the juxtaposition of the light and the darkness was really a little unsettling.
Yeah.
I thought that game, the preparation was amazing. The way we prepared ourselves the week before the game was incredible, because you're in LA and the stars came out. The stars came out to watch us and everything. And the thing that got me was those F-16s flying low.
Yeah.
The coolest thing. And Michael Jackson running through our locker room. That things were cool to me.
Yeah, you know what, man? I got a quick story about that. So, Michael, we're about to get ready for the Super Bowl, man. And the guy standing next to me, a dude named Kenny Gant, we used to call him the Shark. He used to always do a little shark dance. Mm-hmm. Kenny Gant was the biggest Michael Jackson fan ever, like ever. So Michael Jackson and his entourage walked through right by our locker room. We're walking out. We're about to walk out for kickoff, man. This is like kickoff for the Super Bowl. I'm standing next to Gant. And Gant is crying, and I'm like, he's crying. I'm thinking, all right, he's crying. He's emotional for the game. He's like, that's Michael Jackson. Are you serious? Biggest game of your life, and you're worried about Michael Jackson. Crying about him.
That's crazy.
That's the way it was. But it wasn't.
I just played some golf with Kenny Gant, man. He think he's a golfer now, so
yeah.
I'm going to have to tell him about that.
Yeah, tell him about it, man. He'll tell you.
I am going to tell him about that.
So I got one good
guy that's coming on.
Our pleasure. Anytime, man.
But we appreciate you coming on and spend a little time. We're going to be doing this every week. We're going to have you back.
Have me back, man. My apologies. I messed this one up this time around.
I'm going to talk about you now.
I know you are. I know. Hey, I'm doing it again. Just hit me back and let me know. Let's schedule it.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, we appreciate you guys.
I enjoyed it.
Pleasure to see somebody from Buffalo.
There you go. Thanks again.
Thanks, guys. Go ahead, Byron.
Man, that was really good, man. We had a good time the first show. Man, what an awesome time that we had to have two great superstars from the Cowboys and the Giants, man. That's really exciting to hear those stories.
That is no question. We had some good good appearances by Darren and Phil, and we're going to keep this up. We are going to have fun, and we're going to tell it like it is. We're going to talk shop.
Talk shop, locker room, talk shop, and man, it's gonna get better and better.
Yes, no question. No question.